The dark side of Randy Lanier's story starts exactly where the good side does, on the grid at the Indianapolis 500. Rookie of the Year, no corporation writing his checks, no sponsors, and every company on his car said they never even paid him. An FBI investigation already opened with his name on it, and the secret's so dangerous that when the government finally offered him his freedom in exchange for it, he said no.
You can't handle the truth!
What secret was so dark he gave up his freedom for it? Well, the life we knew about started in 1954 on a tobacco farm in Virginia, and this man was born, and he was named Randy Lanier. He didn't come from much, but the moment when his life would change is when he was 13. He heard the Indianapolis 500 on the radio in his dad's barn. Right when he heard the sounds of the engines, it was over, just like a kid in a candy store. But his family would eventually move to South Florida, and unfortunately, he fell in with the wrong crowd. Got caught with weed at school, dropped out, but he eventually got his GED. And then he would start working construction like most people in his situation. This was supposed to be his life. Wake up early, go to the construction site, and pocket 20 grand a year. Maybe buy a beat up car and live a simple life. But he knew he was meant for more. Randy had a plan to fund his dream, and where that money was coming from, that was a secret for now. 1979, Miami. Randy walked straight into a car show in Miami Beach and bought a 1957 Porsche, which wasn't in the greatest shape, but he also got a racing license to go with it. That's not even the best part. He entered a race with that same Porsche with a little bit of fix-up, of course. Pieces fell off the car during the race, but Randy won anyway. And the wins kept coming. And by 1980, he'd won a regional championship. Randy was fast, really fast.
Well, Randy Lanier's Blue Thunder Racing Team comes in here with a lot of confidence, Brock. Tense at the end, huh?
Oh, don't touch it. It was like waiting for me.
And that's when he started to notice a problem. Racing costs money. A lot of money. To run a season in IMSA sports car racing, you needed $500,000. For an Indy car, $3 to $5 million every year. And Randy was making 20 grand working construction. But it was all about to change.
The day dawned bright and beautiful here at Indianapolis. A big crowd on hand at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. First day of time trials.
1982. Randy debuts at Daytona. Not a great finish, but people were impressed. By his fifth race, he brought his own car and got third place. But he starts to get better and better. However, things start to seem a bit off. In 1984, he started Blue Thunder Racing and hired one of the best engine builders in the business, which probably wasn't cheap.
Came back and got some rides in IMSA and just progressed from there till finally in 1984 I put my own team together.
And now Randy didn't just want to race, he wanted to win.
This is it, final lap.
At Riverside, the team's car, driven by Randy and his teammate Bill Whittington, near the end of the race, he was leading, but unfortunately blew a tire and came into the pits on a bare rim. They got it changed, fought back, and caught the leader on the last lap, passed him, and won by 5 seconds.
And so ends one of the most exciting endurance races in recent history. Boy, are they fast.
Then they won at Laguna Seca, Charlotte, Portland, Michigan, New York. By the end of 1984, Randy was the IMSA champion. He'd beaten factory teams with $1 million in backing. Sports Illustrated even wrote about him. And he even got so good, Ford tried to recruit him, but Randy turned them down. Then he sets his sights on the Indianapolis 500. But this still doesn't explain where all the money was coming from, and suspicion starts to build around him. Blue Thunder had 2 full race cars, a warehouse, a Formula 1 crew chief, and full mechanics. Randy even flew to races in private jets, had parties where they filled hot tubs with champagne. And if that didn't scream suspicious at all, how about this? For his daughter's birthday, he trucked in a circus elephant. Yes, a damn circus elephant. His cars had sponsored decals, but something was off. Journalists checked if the sponsors were actually paying him, but companies said they never even paid him, and even some sponsors didn't even exist. So, where was this money coming from? The FBI started to ask the same question. Randy understood one thing clearly. If this unraveled, it wouldn't just cost him his career, it would cost him everything. But to understand where the money was coming from, you have to understand where Randy's second life actually started. And that story doesn't begin in a racing paddock. It starts on the beach at midnight in 1976. South Florida, early 1980s. If you wanted to make money real fast, there was one business. It was called crypto. No, I'm just kidding, it's actually smuggling marijuana.
More than $150 million worth of marijuana has been seized so far in South Florida.
Coast Guard seized 69 vessels carrying a little more than 1 million pounds of marijuana.
My first load was 15,000 pounds.
15,000 pounds.
Yeah.
How do you even acquire?
Randy had been running small loads since he was 20. 1976, he bought an $18,000 speedboat with his weed money. Randy had been smuggling from the Bahamas, small stuff, a ton here, a ton there for other smugglers. But just once you get a taste of the money, greed starts to grow. A few years later, Randy would meet someone who changed everything. He was about to get into business with someone connected to Mayor Lansky. If you don't know who Mayor Lansky is, here's a quick background. Mayor Lansky was the most powerful mob accountant in American history. The FBI spent 30 years trying to put him away. 30 years, and they never could. And Randy was about to learn why. This is Ben Kramer, World Offshore Powerboat Champion. Born the same year as Randy, in the same part of Florida. He also went fast for a living. He also used that speed to move product. And he also needed to win at everything he touched. And on top of that, he literally just got out of prison for marijuana trafficking. But if that surprises you, you should meet his father. Meet Jack Kramer. Jack had married into the family of Mayor Lansky. That should already tell you the kind of man he was. When Ben needed money, he called his dad. When Ben needed his problem solved, he called his dad. Not because he was a daddy's boy, but because his father was very well connected and a powerful man. Jack had never been charged with a single drug offense. And you don't achieve that kind of invisibility by accident. The people who helped keep Jack invisible understood one thing. Silence wasn't just loyalty, it was survival. Randy was about to learn that the hard way. April 1982, Melbourne Beach, Florida, after midnight. Randy and Ben stood on the beach wearing night vision goggles, some high-tech stuff, and they had these inflatable boats waiting on the sand, but for what reason? Offshore was a fishing boat containing 15,000 pounds of product. So Randy set up a blinking light and the boats were launched and were loaded up with packages and packages, came back and unloaded into vans. What exactly were in these packages? Beautiful Colombian marijuana. A month before this, Randy and Ben flew to Colombia. They hired a driver in Barranquilla, drove hours down the coastal roads and jungle that had more potholes than pavement, and checked into a hotel in Santa Marta, surrounded by armed private guards. The next morning, they got into a 40-foot canoe that was literally just a hacked tree, and motored 4 hours into the ocean with their contact. But they would eventually stop. Armed Colombians emerged from the jungle onto the hidden beach they stopped at, and led them up a mountain. At the top was a campsite, and the burlap sap was given to them. Randy cut it open, took a sniff, and found the most extraordinary marijuana he'd ever seen. Yellow gold buds, silver crystals, sticky as resin. This was called Santa Marta Gold. They told the Colombians they wanted 500 pounds. The Colombians laughed. They thought that was all they came for, but they decided to take them deeper into the mountain. Randy would eventually see the whole entire mountainside covered in it. He turned to Ben and said, "Tell him we want all of it. The whole goddamn mountain." And this wasn't even the secret that would define Randy's life. It gets much darker than this. 15 pounds in one night. It worked perfectly. Too perfectly. That he did it again 4 months later. This time, 20,000 pounds. But the itch grew. Ben wanted bigger. So Ben introduced Randy to two more partners, George Brock and Eugene Fisher. Fisher owned a cargo barge the length of a football field. If you put 2 and 2 together, you should know what that means. They secretly built hidden compartments in the barge that could hold over 100 tons of marijuana. 100 tons. That's literally 200,000 pounds. So this is how it worked. The barge would sail to Colombia, load up, sail back pretending to be a normal cargo ship. I mean, who's searching a commercial barge back in the 80s anyways? They brought the barge loads into Brooklyn Navy Yard, San Francisco, New Orleans, right under customs noses. Fisher handled the barge. Brock handled the unloading. Ben got the marijuana in Colombia. Randy had customers in a dozen states, and the money was obviously insane. But back then, everything was done in cash, so you had to take care of the money somehow. During this time, Randy had a bookkeeper named Charles Podesta, who was also his best friend. And Charles saw everything. Charles even later told the jury about showing up at Ben's house with $7 million in cash. Ben wasn't ready for that much and asked him to bring it back in smaller chunks. Charles kept $7 million in a garage overnight, then brought it to Ben in pieces of $2-3 million at a time. They had too much money, and they needed to wash it. And this is where Jack Kramer steps in. And he already knows exactly how. Jack met casino people in LA. In 1983, they started building the Bells Gardens Casino in California, using banks in England, Panama, Hong Kong, and Jack washed the money clean. Jack didn't build a casino with his name on anything significant. On paper, he was barely there. But according to federal court records, Jack Kramer ran the entire operation, meeting with lawyers and accountants in Beverly Hills hotels, while government agents surveilled the buildings outside and caught nothing. That was always his method, invisible on paper and untouchable in practice. When it opened, it was the largest card casino in the United States, built entirely with marijuana money. With the casino cleaning the money, Randy started pouring millions into Blue Thunder Racing. His dream was getting closer and closer, the Indianapolis 500. And whoever thought it would be the drugs that would help him get there? But at the same time, the FBI was watching. When an independent team with no sponsors beat factory teams with millions, people start to notice. And in 1985, they opened an investigation, and they started to see one name: Jack Kramer.
As the cars are on the track and all 33 of them complete the first of 2 parade laps, there will be another...
May 1986. Randy's living the dream. But little did he know, it was all about to come crashing down. During qualifying, he averaged almost 210 miles per hour.
Let's watch as he goes into turn 1, which is right ahead of him. He's doing about 220 miles an hour right now.
And he also beat Michael Andretti's rookie record. The racing world was shocked. But a week before qualifying, Randy's former teammate, Bill Whittington, got arrested on drug charges. Randy's name started coming up, and Randy knew they were watching. Because 1 week before the race, his doorbell rang. Standing there was a brother of Randy's dealers. "My brother got arrested. He's cooperating. The FBI is watching you." At that exact moment, a barge was 10 days off New Orleans, and in that barge was 83 tons of marijuana worth $55 million. So, Randy had a choice: call it off or race anyways. If he called it off, then he would be letting down Ben, but most importantly, Jack. And you don't want to mess with Jack, because whatever Jack might do to him would be worse than what was coming next. At that time, Randy thought, if I get away with this one, I'm done. May 31st, race day. Randy got in the car and drove one of the best races in his life. Only rookie to finish, 10th place, Rookie of the Year. At the award ceremony, Randy sat among legends and accepted the award. And at the exact same time, 1,000 miles away, the barge was heading north. The barge made it. Randy had quietly ordered the captain to change course, away from New Orleans, away from the heat. It came in through San Francisco instead, 165,000 pounds, the largest single haul of his entire career. and not a single federal agent had an idea. Actually, the agents were waiting for that exact barge, but it never came in. For the first time in years, Randy exhaled. He had the trophy, he had the money, and he gotten away with it. And he meant what he said. He was done. The drugs, the barges, the midnight beaches, all of it. He was walking away clean. He just had one more race to run.
We're back under caution at the Michigan 500 as we take a look at the leader serial. This is Paul Page with Bobby Unser, Gary Gerald, and Bruce Jenner. These shots supplied by
August 2nd, 1986, Brooklyn, Michigan. The Michigan 500. The track had just been repaved that spring. Smooth surface, high speeds. Cars were hitting over 220 miles per hour. Randy was running well that day, feeling good and already thinking about his next race. But on lap 100, turn 3, Randy picked up debris from Mario Andretti's earlier crash. The tire blew at 214 miles per hour. The car snapped right, slammed into a wall, hard impact on the right side. Randy broke his right femur, a compound fracture, and they did surgery that night. He didn't know it yet, but that was it. That would be his last lap ever. The dream he chased since he was 13 years old, since that radio in his father's barn, ended in half a second at 214 miles per hour. Two months later, it was about to get worse. October 1986, Randy, Ben, Fisher, Brock, and 12 others were charged, bringing in over 300 tons of Colombian marijuana. The government said it was worth $68 million, maybe as high as $300 million, the largest marijuana case in American history. When the FBI raided properties, they found millions, used a backhoe to dig up $2 million buried in Randy's dad's lawn, found $500,000 in a relative's basement. They followed the money and found Jack Kramer's casino. Randy saw the news on TV at a deli. He literally paid for his food and went into hiding in Pennsylvania. Eventually, he would fly to London with a fake passport and end up in Monte Carlo with his girlfriend, all because of the millions they had in overseas accounts.
Accounts from Switzerland to Zurich to Geneva to Liechtenstein to Luxembourg. So I was kind of full of myself.
July 1988, Illinois. His trial started. For 3 months, the government laid out their case. About 30 people testified, but one person in particular would be devastating. It was Randy's bookkeeper, Charles Podesta. What he showed the jury was the coded records of tens of millions in drug deals. The evidence was undeniable. Then came the moment that sealed Randy's fate. The government offered a deal. Cooperate, tell us everything, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get out someday. By 1987, an FBI agent had testified in court that Randy and Ben's operation was connected to 6 executions. 6. Randy was never charged for any of them, but he'd been in this world long enough to understand what that number meant. Jack Kramer had been the center of the largest marijuana operation in American history. He'd built a casino that washed hundreds of millions in drug money. He'd faced $110 million in federal forfeitures, and he had never spent a single day in prison for the drugs. Not one. The FBI had watched the landscape for 50 years and never touched him. Randy watched all of this up close for years. And when the government put the deal on the table, Randy already knew what saying that name would actually cost him. Randy said no. October 4th, 1988. Guilty on everything. Then a few months later, on December 7th, the judge looked at Randy, 34 years old, former Indy 500 Rookie of the Year. Life in prison. No parole. Ever. A new law from 1984, the Super Drug Kingpin Law, huge amounts of drugs plus huge amounts of money, meant life. No exceptions. Ben got the same, Fisher too. Randy was sent to maximum security prison. He worked out, played chess, taught yoga, answered letters from racing fans. He literally thought he would die there. And for Ben, in 1989, he tried to escape by helicopter. He grabbed a rope ladder dangling from the aircraft as it was hovered over the prison courtyard. The helicopter moved forward before it had enough altitude to clear the perimeter fence. It crashed and Ben got thrown back in. Jack Kramer was convicted in the casino case, but never charged for the drugs. Randy had protected him. He knew he couldn't snitch, but unfortunately, every one of them was rejected. 26 years went by. Randy still wouldn't talk about Jack Kramer. And then, in 2014, something changed. On September 15, 2014, a judge signed a sealed order. Randy was getting out. Nobody knew why. The documents were sealed. Even the government wouldn't talk. But after a month, Randy Lanier walked out of federal prison, 60 years old. Outside, he found wonder in things most people never notice. The smell of fresh air, squirrels in trees, and even the trees themselves. 4 days after walking out, he posted a photo on Facebook. Florida beach, hands raised under a big open sky. He wrote, "Toes in water, ass in sand. No prison bars, life is good today." But people were confused. How did a guy with life without parole just walk free? Until today, Randy states it was a perfect storm of circumstances. But the documents tell a different story. His release was based on a cooperation agreement with the prosecution. After 27 years of silence, something had changed. The documents are still mostly sealed. In 2019, Ben Kramer, still in prison, filed a motion demanding to know why Randy was released. The court gave him almost nothing. With all of these things happening, this would point to Randy most likely talking, allegedly, after refusing to talk in 1988 and taking life to protect Jack Kramer. Randy had finally given them something. But no one will know until those documents are fully unsealed. And inside those documents would be the dark side of this racing legend. Today, Randy is in his 70s, works with cannabis groups helping people still locked up for marijuana. His daughter works in the legal industry in Colorado. In 2015, 1 year after walking out, Randy Lanier got back in a race car. He was 61 years old. He wasn't fast enough to compete anymore. He probably knew that before he even got in, but that wasn't the point. In his father's barn in Virginia, had never stopped hearing those engines. He just needed to hear them one more time. Meanwhile, Ben Kramer is still in prison. 2 champions born the same year, same world, same law, same sentence. But Randy walked out and Ben never did. The only difference was the choices they made when it mattered the most. Fisher got out in 2012. Jack Kramer was convicted on RICO and drug enterprise charges. He faced $110 million in forfeitures. He was never charged directly for the drugs, and Randy made sure of that. Someone asked Randy later if he regretted it all. He said, "Regret is when you hate the person who made the choice. Remorse is when you forgive that person and still make it right." Randy Lanier has remorse, not regret. But here's someone who lived an arguably crazier life. His name is Ryan Wedding, an ex-Olympian who became a drug lord as well.